This program is made possible by annual financial support from viewers like you.
So yesterday, I was playing Overwatch. Just playing some 5v5 as Jetpack Cat. We were doing fine, taking fights well, losing when we were on the back foot, but quickly adjusting and regrouping to get back in there stronger. Great coordination. But we slowly see something cooking across that team divide. They got a guy named Charlie Kirk on their team, a different Jetpack Cat. We lose point at 99% and they cap at something around 35. This guy gets into match chat and types, "You crying in a quick play lobby?" I assume him to be gloating and respond as any rational person who is about to win the game would. I type, "This guy is shadowboxing," an insult that implies that a person is throwing hands with nothing, just fighting on their own. As the game progresses, he devolves. I don't know if it was from his own team tilting him or from my comment, probably both. But he starts going off. He starts throwing, going AFK, messaging shit to his team in match chat. We were happy to take the W, don't get me wrong, but you gotta feel for the people on that team. Our team messages something like, "Just squelch him, we're all reporting him for you anyway." Dude responds with, "How many trans abominations are in chat right now?" Jim's at the camera. That's when it became clear that, perhaps while tilted, certainly, he was rage baiting. There's a subtle difference between the two. For the non-gamers, to be tilted is to be so upset at some aspect of the game that your upset has become visible to the point of impacting your ability to play. It often comes with lashing out at your own team, judging them for poor play while engaging in activities that lean into poor play. The term actually comes from pinball. When a player would get frustrated at the pinball game, they would physically tilt the machine in order to force the ball to go where they want. If you're a pinball machine maker or an arcade owner, you don't want people moving these machines and damaging them. So to punish this behavior, the game would lock up, and the little red 7-segment display would read tilt. So the term became associated with emotional outburst. Rage baiting isn't quite the same. Rage baiting is a behavior I've been keeping an eye on for some time. In recent years, it's grown to take up the majority of the chats in any video game setting, from MMOs to PvP shooters. It's the major form of communication between gamers in the modern day, and comes with different levels of tact and effectiveness. On the lower end of that spectrum, you have the people that just spout slurs. You don't usually get crazy upset by these people because honestly they're just bad at rage baiting. I mean, it's the easiest kind to ignore, shrug off, and not hold to your own character. It's obvious what their intent is, and so it's typically easy to subvert. On the highest end of the spectrum, you see people with empath level social awareness, taking subtle shots at specific personal anxieties. You won't even know these people are rage baiting. They'll present something that's entirely reasonable, but directed at a person that they know will get upset by it. There's some genius level players in this game, so keep an eye out. Now in the middle of that spectrum are the people that intentionally spout conservative political views in chat. The kind that'll make talk about how Jewish people are bad while talking about how the Palestinian conflict is unimportant. People refusing to pick any lane that might land them in favor of those around them. We're talking people who post the percentages. Knowers know. This stuff usually ends up being what's most effective in getting as many people as mad as possible, even if it's just service level. See, many people in the modern day get upset when they see opposing political views, but rarely have the awareness as to why. The emotional mechanic is as follows. The survival functions in emotion, the fear, the anxiety, the anger, have been paired with political perspective in a way that's understandable. Every major talking point that political influence would put in front of you will be either an indictment of a person's way of life, or an emotional appeal stating that someone's trying to indict another way of life. Political influencers are experts, intentionally or otherwise, at making their listeners believe that their survival is under threat. Whether that involves literal survival or merely an amorphous threat changes from topic to topic. The war on homeless folks compared to the war on Christmas, for example. So when a person, on any point of the political spectrum, sees a view that misaligns with their own, this conditioned threat to survival inspires anger and fear, even if the specific view is not an attack on their personal identified groups. And as we all know, fear leads to anger. Thanks, Yoda. Many people are aware that racist equals makes me angry, and justify this emotion by weighing it to the evils of racism. This makes the emotion correct, for lack of a better term, a justified emotional state. In reality, this explanation of behavior is incomplete. It explains the internal behavior by putting the cause of the emotion entirely on external factors, rather than the emotional mechanics that are being manipulated within themselves. The checks for validity and emotional expression are all green under such a perspective. You are right that racism is bad, so that must mean you're right to be angry as well. But you aren't right about racism being the mechanical cause of your anger. The manipulation of your survival is the cause of your anger, and a rage baiter just can't kill you over the internet. This conditioning is not limited to political influencers. Rather, it is the basis of the entire online culture for well over a decade now. Engagement has become the ultimately desired goal for every company with a social media presence for years now, especially the social media companies themselves. In conjunction with that, the internet makes up the majority of the average person's external environment these days, even more so the younger you are. The kids have been living for their entire lives in a world where getting people mad is conditioned for. It's considered a desirable thing. Even if unintentionally, the majority of content that they have seen is either absurdist or more likely inflammatory. What effects has this had? What effects will that have? Well, firstly, it makes rage baiting more common, but not new. People have always been playing a game with each other called Who Can Be Less Mad. The decorum of influencers belies this. I mean, look at Charlie Kirk type characters. Their entire presence existed as an example of that. If I stay calm, I win. If you get angry, you lose. It's the same as the Victorian era, where you were perceived to be lower class if you didn't deign to respect your betters. The idiom, have some class, exists for a reason.
I have done everything in my power to be kind to you in these long months.
Tied me up.
Find the dignity to display the respect of your caretaker.
How can you be so stupid and cruel?
Hartman will call you a coach. At my expense, of course.
So, under that perspective, rage baiting can both act as a preemptive attack and shield combo. The best defense is a good offense. If you're thinking to yourself, I'm rage baiting, then when you exhibit undesirable social behaviors, then you're just rage baiting. If the other starts exhibiting undesirable social behaviors, then rather than something you should be upset about, it's clearly you winning the who can be less mad game. In terms of interacting with older generations, the old heads have no chance. They have spent their entire lives successfully falling for people manipulating them by upsetting them, and they aren't gonna stop now. They didn't grow up in an environment where that was the primary form of social interaction. Ironically, it's those old heads who believe the kids need thicker skin, that they need to build character. Well, reap what you sowed, man. The kids have built character to the point that they'll call you cringe for getting mad when they make fun of the fact that you lost 3 of your best friends in Nom. They'll hurl insults at each other and put out fishing hooks to catch the folk that don't recognize the game that we've all been playing. It's an in-group, out-group mechanic so prevalent that it's capable of creating intense divide while simultaneously breeding a resistance to being divided. And there's your premise for the video. The out-group is gonna die, and once that happens, who's left to be rage-baited besides people who've grown up rage-baiting? The kids are growing thicker skin while hurling insults at each other, while simultaneously unintentionally increasing the validity of previously unacceptable social behavior by turning the concept of social repercussions on its head. If every possible insult and judgment over a topic is obviously just rage bait, then how can you ever take it seriously? The prevalence of rage baiting is actively removing the power from that previously justified mechanism. No longer is it valid to just be upset because something is obviously bad, and they don't even have to understand the original survival-based emotional mechanism in order to do it. The kids are gonna build world peace by calling each other slurs, and there's nothing you can do about it, so get comfy. When everyone is rage baiting,
no one will be.
Thank you for listening, Dreamer. I hope your next dream is a little more intriguing than the last.